on this Feel Good Friday. Thank you so much for hanging with us. And a special welcome to everyone watching us on ESPN. We're giving you a little preview of things to come when First Take makes the official move to ESPN on Tuesday, January 3rd. I'm Molly Karam, holding things down in Bristol. My guy, Stephen A. Smith, is in New York City, and Max Kellerman is in Vegas. Morning, guys. We ready to work?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's going on? Ready to do this.
All right, let's do it. Let's get into it. A lot to discuss. Coming up, Michael Vick joins the show live. He has a message for Cam Newton, so you don't want to miss that. Stay tuned. But we start with Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. After Tony Romo gave a heartfelt speech on Tuesday admitting Dak Prescott has earned the starting spot, Jerry Jones spoke yesterday saying it's not necessarily over for Romo in Dallas. Listen up.
It's not goodbye. I think Tony's got 5 years left of really competing for a Super Bowl. Okay? I believe Tony will be the quarterback on a Super Bowl team.
This one?
I believe that strongly. And so that's, we're talking generic now, right. And I have no plans for him not to be part of the Dallas Cowboys.
Thank you, Jerry.
Not a consideration.
Oh, Jerry Jones, the gift that keeps on giving. Stephen A., how should Dak feel about Jerry's comments?
Well, what Dak should feel is that, Jerry Jones is showing a level of loyalty to Tony Romo that one would deem appropriate or what have you. For me, it's not necessarily something that could be said or saved for the end of the season as opposed to right now. I definitely think it's a bit premature on a part of Jerry Jones, completely unnecessary. But that's not the biggest takeaway I get from all of this, to be quite honest with you, Max. The biggest takeaway that I get from this is that I don't want to be prejudiced in any way. I don't know whether it's senility. I don't know whether it's another marketing tool being exercised by Jerry Jones. I don't know whether he's lost his damn mind. None of it makes sense. But what are you doing mentioning Tony Romo and Super Bowl in the same sentence? You had him for 10 years. The man produced 2 playoff victories for you. Yet somehow, some way, because he's hurt at the age of 36 with a myriad of injuries, primarily due to his back, suddenly he has a future. Suddenly it potentially expands to as much as 5 years. Suddenly the words Super Bowl and Tony Romo are mentioned in the same sentence. So let me get this straight. When he was younger and healthier and winning games in the regular season, but couldn't do a damn thing for you in the playoffs. When he got there, he couldn't win then. You weren't talking about Super Bowl then. But now that he's older, prone to more injuries, durability a high question mark, and level of capability diminishing greatly due to the fact that you got Dak Prescott and you ain't going to even see much of Tony Romo. Now suddenly he needs to be mentioned in the same breath as the Super Bowl. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's unbelievable that Jerry Jones would say those words out of his mouth, but I cannot say that I'm completely surprised. It is Jerry Jones, by the way. He loves headlines, and clearly this was another way to get it. It worked. Sorry, it worked, but it is what it is. I felt it was a ridiculously asinine statement to make.
If you are Dak Prescott, how do you feel? Because that's the question. You got to feel good about this. I know the knee-jerk reaction is, damn, Dak must be sitting there like, what do I have to do? We won all these games, and my QBR is this high, and all these kind of things, and I'm Rookie of the Year, maybe him or Zeke, or MVP conversation. What I got to do to get the owner to stop talking about the last guy who, as you said, didn't win even a whole bunch of playoff games and is broken down and old. Like, what do I have to do? No, wrong. Dak should be feeling good about this right now. He should be feeling great about it, in fact, because what Jerry Jones is showing is if you ball for the Dallas Cowboys, I'm talking about ball out, because Tony Romo has done that, Stephen A. No, he hasn't brought them a Super Bowl, but he's been an excellent quarterback for a long, long time. If you do that for the Cowboys, Jerry Jones got your back. That's what I'm taking in if I'm Dak Prescott. And Dak Prescott has looked excellent from day one of the preseason. That first preseason game we saw him in. That guy looks like the real deal. And he's done nothing to dispel those feelings, particularly behind that dominant offensive line. So if Dak thinks he's going to play, have a long, successful career with the Dallas Cowboys, and it sure looks like he will, this is an owner who's got his back, who when he gets to be the older quarterback, who maybe has an injury and some young kids in, Jerry Jones will have his back. That's how Dak should take it.
Well, let me say this to you. I mean, I definitely appreciate your words, your sentiments, Max Kellerman, because obviously you're somebody that's religiously gone about the business on this show of defining and confusing mediocrity with greatness. Because to you, it's all the same as far as I can tell. That's the way I've deciphered the words that have come out of your mouth. If you're a 500
is that
team,
because I've
you're
called
good,
your
you're
arguments great?
Or
is that why you're saying that?
Listen, this is all I'm trying to say to you, my man. Listen to me this morning. Listen to me clearly, okay? Here's the deal. If you are Jerry Jones, think about this for a second. Let me take your analogy, Max. Let's put it in its proper perspective. Let's just call it like we see it. Do you understand that Tony Romo has never won more than one playoff game in any postseason? He's only won 2, period. But right. It was 1 in different years. He's never won more than 1 playoff game in any season. And he's only won 1 playoff game in a season twice in his 10 years. That's your definition of balling out and how Jerry Jones taking. Let me tell you why Jerry Jones. Let me tell you why Dak Prescott should be.
Let me turn that around on you.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Are you on record as saying Tony Romo is a mediocre quarterback? That's insane.
In the postseason, yes. In the postseason yesterday.
That's not what we're talking about. I said
yes,
he balled out.
I'm always talking about that.
I said he balled out for years and years with the Dallas Cowboys. He was an excellent quarterback.
To that.
You said I confused that with mediocrity, meaning you think Tony Romo's a mediocre quarterback. Is that what you think?
I think Tony Romo has produced mediocre results. That's what I was alluding to, number one. Number two, I'm specifically talking about the postseason because unlike you, Max Kellerman, I'm thinking about really, really winning. Not winning in a regular season, not winning when everybody got the same amount of games on the schedule. I'm talking about when half the league is home watching, the other half is playing in the postseason. There's a Lombardi trophy at stake. And what do you do in those particular moments? We're going to talk about Joe Flacco a little bit later on in this show.
Right.
Why is he even relevant?
Because
he's got a Super Bowl title. That's why. Eli Manning, 2 Super Bowls.
But
because he's got 2 of them, that's why.
If Tony Romo had 2 Super Bowl MVPs like Eli does, and he had this career, he'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm not saying he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but there's a big gap between first ballot Hall of Famer and mediocre. There are really good quarterbacks along the way, and he is one of them.
All I'm saying is you got to count postseason results, too. And I'm saying you can't ignore that. That's more profound than what you do for me in the regular season. In my mind, when we start talking about winners, when we start using the word greatness, when we start going in that route, you need to give me postseason production before I'm willing to give it up to you.
Let me ask you this. If you're Dak Prescott playing behind that offensive line with Ezekiel Elliott and now Stephen Jones seeming to have taken the reins from Jerry in terms of personnel decisions, which is why they're good all of a sudden, right? If you're Dak Prescott, do you think you're going to have playoff success throughout your career? If you as young as you are, as good as this team is, do you expect that you're going to – right. So if Jerry Jones got the back of a quarterback who's bald but hasn't won a lot in the playoffs, how is he going to be toward you 10 years from now when you're an older quarterback, 12, 15 years from now if he plays that long, and you've had postseason success?
Well, we can broach that 10 years from now. But
that's what I'm saying. Dak's got to feel good about the level of Jerry's support for Romo.
I think it's a beautiful thing for you to be looking ahead for a decade for Dak Prescott. It's very touching of you, Max Kellerman, somebody that walks around and religiously tells me tomorrow ain't guaranteed. But Dak could look 10 years down the road and think about how Jerry Jones is going to have his back. By the way, there are plenty of people who have produced for Jerry Jones, whose back he has not had. Don't get me started with Emmitt Smith and a few others now. We could go that route, but I won't on this particular moment because I'm in a very good mood today. I'm very, very nice. So I'm not going to go there. But there's plenty of dudes that Jerry Jones have not had their back. And they've won for him.
Quarterbacks.
Listen. Let's stop acting like it's a quarterback. The fact of the matter is he has a special affection and affinity for Tony Romo, his
I know you
insist
son. That.
We
I know
all
you insist
know this.
That.
It is the truth. It's the truth. It happens to be the truth.
Are you saying if you're Dak Prescott, you believe he'll never have a special affinity for you?
I don't think it'll be comparable to Tony Romo's.
Based on what?
Because of what I've seen from Jerry Jones when it comes to Tony Romo. Jerry Jones usually gets rid of people that fail him. Tony Romo has failed him on several occasions. His love for him seems to be undying, unwavering. Okay, that's what it seems to be. This is adopted son. I wouldn't be surprised if they spend Christmas mornings together, for crying out loud. This is what their relationship happens to be. It's okay. It's okay. All I'm saying is, in the end, when we think about greatness, we don't need to be throwing that word out there absent postseason production.
All
if
right.
you're Dak Prescott, it is what it is. I understand that.
I never said
right,
greatness.
all right, guys.
You said mediocre.
Tony
All
Romo
right.
did ask to compete for the job. That wish was not granted by Jerry. Dak 8-0-1 against the spread this season in Dallas, favored by 7 against Baltimore. We're going to get into that game shortly. You guys just heard from the guys about Jerry's comments. We want to know what you think at home. Go on Twitter and vote now. Should the Cowboys keep Dak and Romo? Make your voice count. And speaking